so that you know each other better than just by initial or by name. So we're looking forward to a very exciting program this week. In case you don't know where you are, there is an echo at the back, so maybe the IT colleagues can help us with that. We are here for the long-term joint European Union Africa Research and Innovation Partnership on Renewable Energy, abbreviated to LEAP-RE. It started in early 2021. It's a 5-year program. So we're slowly getting to the halfway line. And the colleagues have done extremely well so far. The members of the consortium, the stakeholders in general have done extremely well. So perhaps let's start by giving them a huge round of applause for getting us this far. So you'll have seen that in your program, we're supposed to start with a dance by Zulu warriors. They are slightly delayed. They will join us when they do. We will allow them space to entertain us when they arrive, but let us get on with the program because we have a lot to discuss this week. Before I call on the first speaker for the day, we will have a chance to introduce ourselves to each other. But just in brief, in the room we have our LEAP-RE consortium partners. Some are joined online virtually. So good morning to those that are joining virtually as well. We have our project coordinators. We've awarded funding to some of the projects, about 30 in total. So some of them are here and some have joined online. We also have representatives from the European Union. Welcome. From the African Union, welcome as well. Researchers, they are here. We've got a number of researchers here as well. We've got the Climate Change Sustainable Energy Working Group members here. And we've got the 2 advisory boards members here as well. So to all of you, please feel at home and feel free, feel welcome. Just a few housekeeping rules. If you have a question, because we'll use a lot of acronyms, a lot of words that perhaps are not common and familiar to everybody, please don't hesitate to ask. We are here to learn and to interact and to really contribute to the project. Our rooms for refreshments are right at the back, both the ladies and the gentlemen, and tea will be served on the foyer. Lunch will be served across the reception, but you'll be told closer to the time, the arrangements regarding that. And for any other queries, you can ask my colleague, Mr. Siegfried Dibana, who's waving over there. So if there are any questions, queries, you can please ask him. So let us get on with the project because we do really want to keep to the time. And I will ask my DDG, Mr. Dan Tutoy, the DDG responsible for International Cooperation and Resources, Department of Science and Innovation. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, Mampe, for that introduction, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed rewarding, as Mampe have said, to see so many good friends and partners, many of them over many, many years. We've worked together from elsewhere on our continent in Africa and indeed Europe. So indeed, welcome to South Africa. My name is Dan Tutoy, as Mampe said, and I'm a Deputy Director General in the South African Department of Science and Innovation. And I have 3 tasks this morning. The first instance is to welcome you, and then to thank you, and hopefully also to encourage you. And when I want to welcome you, I'm doing so on behalf of my minister, His Excellency Dr. Blade Nzimande, South Africa's Minister for Higher Education, Science and Innovation, whom we had hoped would have been with us today, but the minister is currently in Osaka, Japan, where he's attending the Science, Technology and Society Forum, one of the leading global platforms to consider the role science should play in society. It's a very similar topic to what LEAP-RE will be doing. But why I'm also mentioning this is that even if the minister is in Japan, he was actually thinking and speaking about LEAP-RE. Because yesterday he had a very constructive, very fruitful bilateral meeting with Commissioner Maria Gabriel, European Commissioner responsible for science, innovation, and education. And they notably discuss how South Africa and the European Commission can work together to further advance the African Union, European Union partnership with a specific focus on joint funded programs such as LEAP-RE. So the Minister brings to you also his word of welcome and his good wishes for this meeting. And I would like to acknowledge Mr. Theo Kaspers from the EU delegation. As we discussed before the meeting, we could see that our respective principals were very active yesterday on social media, celebrating the successful outcome of that meeting. But in secondly, when I said I wanted to thank you, I wanted to thank you specifically to the LEAP-RE consortium and the broader stakeholders for the trust you've put in South Africa to work with us and giving us the huge privilege to host you here. And we hope that your stay in South Africa will be a fruitful one, a successful one, and certainly also an enjoyable one. But then coming to perhaps the more important part, where I will hopefully seek to encourage you. Why is LEAP-RE such an important initiative for South Africa? And that's what I want to very briefly just reflect on. So we're on the eve of a major new policy development in South African science and innovation, where our cabinet will be adopting a new 10-year plan. We call it a decadal plan for science, technology, and innovation, which will identify very strategically what are the major initiatives, what are the major investments South Africa should undertake for science and innovation to play the role it should be in this next phase of South Africa's democracy. And the easy statement for me would be to say that energy innovation and renewable energy is a key priority of that decadal plan, which it is. But I do not want to reflect so much on that, because in the room here, we have many experts who over the coming days will be delving into the details of renewable energy research and innovation partnerships. But I want to reflect on another strategic priority for our decadal plan, and that is science diplomacy. And I want to do that using the by now traditional definition of what is science diplomacy. And those of you familiar with the concept will know that in the first instance, science diplomacy is the role of science in diplomacy. And if we look today, what are the major geopolitical issues at play? Geopolitical instability, without giving any specific examples. I'm sure you will agree with me on that agenda. It's a major policy, economic concern, security concern for governments across the world. But not only on the global agenda, even on the national agenda. To our international friends, you will, if either by practical experience, hopefully not too often during your stay here, of course, we also continue as a world need to confront the ongoing challenges of climate change. And from that, the aspect of renewable energy discussions cannot be divorced. But it's not only all doom and gloom, which I want to, there are also fantastic opportunities for creating new growth industries, new trade patterns between the North and the South. So if we look at the international agenda, the diplomatic agenda, through the energy lens, it is certainly a science-intensive one. And that's one of the reasons why this initiative is so important for us. But then secondly, the other part of science diplomacy is also the role of diplomacy in science. And that's how do we use international cooperation? How do we use different programs and agreements to enable scientific collaboration? Now, I'm again convinced that everyone in this room will share with me the conviction that throughout the ages, knowledge has always progressed. The boundaries of scientific knowledge has always been expanded. If people and countries work together, if they share experience, if they share expertise, or if they do, as LEAP-RE is doing, they're making joint investments by pooling our resources together. We have a South African saying where we like to emphasize that we're stronger together. So international cooperation, in order to support the advancement of the scientific enterprise, including through the investment of joint training, exchange programs for young scientists, is absolutely crucial. We We believe in South Africa that is essential for South African science to progress, but indeed for global science to progress. And that is what LEAP-RE is doing as well. But then thirdly, and this is a point which I think one should never underemphasize its importance. Science diplomacy is also science for diplomacy. And what does that mean? It means we use the universal potential of science. Science is a universal language which knows no borders, no cultures, no linguistic differentiation, no political affiliation. In science, we speak truly a language which knows no borders. And we believe in these troubled times, because these are troubled times of rising geopolitical tension. For my government, the question of massive concern is the increased polarization we see in the world. We need to use the potential of science. The potential of science to bring people like this group together from different horizons, different backgrounds, to discuss what are the common challenges we face and how we work together. So it's for those reasons that we believe that LEAP-RE is a strategic and an important platform, and why my government is so committed to support it. So I would like to leave you with 3 concluding remarks, and that would be my wishes for this meeting. And I would call them the 3 R's, not the traditional 3 R's. In the first instance, relevance. Do ensure in your discussion that we are relevant to the concerns of the people outside of this room, to the concern which global challenges which confront our citizens across the world. It's very easy for these type of initiatives, partners, we're passionate about it, we are committed to it, but let's always remind ourselves why we are here and what's the impact we seek to achieve. And the second R would be radical, challenge the status quo. One of the exciting aspects of LEAP-RE, which has always attracted, is that it is challenging the status quo of traditional North-South partnerships through significant co-investment by Africa in Europe in a partnership which should be co-owned and for which we take co-responsibility. Our world is in need of radical disruption. So I also encourage the LEAP-RE consortium to be radical. And then lastly, do what Mampe has said. It's about relations. It's about people-to-people contact. I salute those connecting us through remote platforms, but let's use this opportunity to get to know each other better and to really foster the firm foundation for future collaboration, because that's the most important investment we can make. The most important investment we can make for our united effort to advance the interests of humanity, and that's people-to-people contact. So I hope with those few words, I have assured you that you are most welcome in South Africa, that we greatly appreciate your presence here, and we certainly look forward in anticipation to the outcomes of this meeting, where I'm sure you will be relevant, you'll not hesitate to be radical, and we will seek to further strengthen the relations between us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DDG. The 3 R's: relevance, radical, and relations. I can't emphasize that more. Our decadal plan speaks about impact, and I'm sure a lot of your policy documents also requires of you to make an impact and a difference in the lives of the people we serve. So with the LEAP-RE initiative, that's the exact aim, that we change the lives of the people for the better. This would not have been possible without the co-funding that we have received from the European Union. It is not the first initiative that the European Union has so heavily invested in, not just financially, but through your guidance and your technical support. So it's a great honor and privilege this morning to call on stage Mr. Theo Kaspers on behalf of the European delegation in South Africa. Let's welcome him, please, with a round of applause.
Good morning, Mr. Dandutu. We've met already before, colleagues from member states and from Brussels, partners, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you very much for the opportunity to share a few remarks on behalf of the EU delegation in South Africa. I would like to thank our partners, the Department of Science and Innovation, for organizing this forum with the LEAP-RE project management on this important topic of developing a long-term relationship between Africa and Europe on research and innovation in renewable energy in order to address key renewable energy challenges, strategies, and mechanisms. It was during the First World War when oil became a new strategic geopolitical commodity, when Germany and England were trying to maneuver each other with new powered boat, and oil was an important new commodity then, and redefined the geopolitics of energy. If we fast forward today and we look at what is happening in Europe today, we see again that opportunities for a new changing of the geopolitics of energy are there. This energy transition will be a key determinant of Africa's future to social and economic growth and productivity. Africa can take the 21st century path of industrialization without the heavy dependence on coal and fuel through the use of these cleaner natural gas and renewable energy sources. And despite its abundance of these energy sources, Sub-Saharan Africa remains the region with the largest energy access deficit and the most electricity impoverished region in the world. Setting the world on track for the 1.5 degree increase requires a surge in annual investment in clean energy projects and infrastructure to nearly 3.8 trillion euro by 2030. And 70% of these investments need to be made in emerging markets and developing economies. As I said, add to this mix the ongoing geopolitical tension, and the DDG already referred to that, and the volatility in the energy market that they may cause. The result is a disruptive energy access issues that have serious economic consequences. Having arrived just a month ago in South Africa, I am as much subject to the load shedding as all of you are, but we all understand the economic impact this load shedding has on the development of the economy in South Africa. All these factors put together shed a stark light on why the EU partnership with Africa around green transition and why this is so important. We depart from three premises. It's not the three R's, but it has two R's. First of all, realism. Renewable energy resources, mainly solar and wind, cannot provide a full solution for Africa in the short term, even if we add hydropower to it. Second one, diversification. The sheer magnitude of Africa's electricity challenge means that one type of energy resource or fuel type will be insufficient. It has become urgent to ramp up cooperation on renewable energies and clean energy technologies such as hydrogen. And thirdly, resilience. We need to encourage the long-term development of resilient and sustainable energy markets so that Africa can build its own energy autonomy. Fortunately, we are on track to enhance cooperation with Africa. African and European leaders have confirmed that they are keen to further develop the partnership, including the green transition. And this partnering on LEAP-RE is an excellent example of such partnership facilitation. Partnership also means pooling of resources. And we're very happy that we have our French and Finnish colleagues here to show that as Team Europe, we are clearly trying to be able to leverage on the experience and resources in support of the challenges which we have seen today. Through Global Gateway, the EU and EU member states have agreed an investment package of at least 150 billion euro to boost infrastructure investment in Africa, to speed up the twin digital and green transition, and to invest in human development through a wide range of flagship initiatives. While working together and utilizing all the tools available, the challenges can be overcome. I hope that this week's forum will inspire much needed concrete solutions for renewable energy and service delivery in Africa and in South Africa. And I like the DGG's call to be radical on that. I think we need to indeed think outside of the box and see how we can find solutions which are practical and which can work. I am convinced that despite enormous challenges, it certainly brings unique opportunities for locally driven economic recovery towards a more sustainable, greener, and financially viable growth in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaspers, for those words, but for the continued investment by the European Union Commission in not only supporting Africa, but also addressing what one may call the challenge of our times with what is happening in the world, with what's happening in South Africa. The time is now to make a difference in really increasing the options of renewable energy. We cannot only rely on coal as a source of energy, but we have to diversify our options. So thank you very much for those kind words and for your continued support. So without any further ado, I'd like to call on stage a representative from the African Union, Mr. Lukovi Seke, if he is here. He represents AUDA, NEPAD, the African Union Development Agency, and is also from the African Union. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, please.
Good morning once again. It's really an honor for us to welcome you once again in South Africa as the DG Danditoy highlighted. So this morning, we communicated with the African Union Commission, knowing that the collaboration we are having between Europe and Africa is not a part of any, as I said it in New York, immaculate conception. As you know, on the continent, everything we do should be endorsed by our bosses that we call African Union member states, because they meet through a summit, and during those summits, declarations are taken, decisions are taken by head of state and government based on various portfolio and ministries in a way that we implement activity accordingly. The collaboration between AU and the EU is part of partnership. As you know, I'm coming from the African Union Development Agency, one of the first agency we have within the AU system. So as you know, we are autonomous from the African Union Commission. Our responsibility is to drive and to facilitate implementation of decisions taken by head of state framed in a form of policies. And our mandate in implementing is to achieve the objective of Agenda 2063. So our sister institution in Addis Ababa is handling issues related to policy. So this morning, Mr. Masheleni Ambani, who is the acting director in charge of education, science, technology, and innovation, was expecting to come and say something, but is busy as we are speaking now in a meeting. The plan was that the commissioner, the current commissioner in charge of education, science, technology, and innovation should be in South Africa. But regardless of that, is our responsibility really to welcome you, to support regional economic communities and to support member states. So being here today, after this short speech and welcome remarks, we are just going to come back again to take you through what we are busy preparing, the 10-year AU innovation agenda. we believe that it's time for us to really advise our member states to forget the historical rhetoric, the revolutionary rhetoric. We are no longer the Organization of African Unity, we are the African Union. And through the African Union perspective, our responsibility is always to welcome all partnership and to make sure that African Union member states fit accordingly in this setup. And we believe in a win-win collaboration. And we believe also at the end of this meeting, all of us will be happy. And we wish you all the best, and expecting that at the end, by the end of this meeting, we are going to reach what we expected, since we received all of us the concept note. So with those few words, let me once again, on behalf of the AU system, as Mr. Maschereni could not make it, welcome you, and also now thank the Department of Science and Innovation, being what we call in South Africa the ministry. In the Francophone jargon, as some of you might be Francophone, is not a department within a ministry, but we call it department, but in reality is a ministry. So thank you once again for coming, and we look forward to engaging further during our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seke. And please pass our regards to the Commissioner, Professor Belorsin. Would have loved to have him here, but there's still an opportunity later on in the year for him to come to South Africa, and we'd really like to engage with him when he does come. Thank you also for reminding us about Agenda 2063, and most importantly, the AU-EU Innovation Agenda. It will be discussed as part of our program this week. And we know you have represented Africa well in that committee. So let me, without further ado, call up on stage Ludovic Kokonye from the French Embassy in South Africa, also representing one of our 83 consortium members in LEAP-RE. Welcome, sir.
Dear Mr. Yann Dutoit, dear colleagues from the European Union, from the African Union, dear colleagues, dear partners, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this invitation to the high-level event, the LEAP-RE Stakeholder Forum on Research of Innovation. It is my pleasure to be here among you to address some opening remarks on behalf of the French Embassy in South Africa. I'm the head of cooperation and cultural affairs in the French Embassy, and in this function, I would like to thank especially our partner, the DSI, as a coordinator in this project, for having invited me to open the session. Thank you also for the other coordinator, the French company LGI, for the smooth organization of the forum. First, let me confess that I am particularly glad to be here with you today, because you will deal with three of the main topics in which I have dedicated my professional life. You will deal about international cooperation, you will deal about research and science, and you will deal with SDGs and the 2030 agendas. Many components of this program could be highlighted, but I will focus on some of them. We have a very diverse and long-standing partnership with the GSI, which is of mutual benefit for both the French and the South African research and innovation communities. With the G side on your side, and through the National Research Foundation, the French Embassy has namely organized at the end of June in Paris, a whole week dedicated to the strengthening of our ties in the science and research cooperation between our two countries. Of course, the European Union, African Union, high-level policy dialogue, HLPD, on science, technology, and innovation serves as a platform for regular exchanges on research and innovation policies and helps to formulate and implement long-term priorities. The goal is to strengthen Africa-Europe cooperation on science, technology, and innovation. We have to cooperate at all levels in order to confront global challenges. It is of utmost importance and key for the economy to develop the mandatory skills in the field of the renewable energies. That is exactly what the LEAP-RE project aims at achieving. This is an impressive network of partners with expertise in the sector. It is only through cooperation and with such networks across borders that we can achieve a just, sustainable, or profitable energy transition. The LEAP-RE project can help accelerating the inclusive transition to reliable and affordable renewable energy everywhere when it is necessary. Should it be in South Africa or in Europe, in all the countries all over the world. To this end, France is truly committed alongside with its European partners to move towards a sustainable energy transition, namely through the Just Energy Transition Partnership with South Africa. The JETP is a path-breaking initiative and the first of this kind. It is long-term and ambitious in its aspiration to support South Africa's pathway to a low-carbon economy and climate-resilient society. France will keep playing its role in supporting the South African government and the research community to align with the priorities of the JETP to move towards a just energy transition for the benefit of everyone. Using the latest science-based innovation and technologies, such as the green hydrogen, we can all contribute to the production of a new knowledge and products in renewable energy. That has a topic of strategic relevance to the African Union, European Union collaboration. Let me thank also the Agence Nationale de la Recherche, the French research agency, for their active participation in the LEAP-RE consortium, as well as the financing body of Common Foundation. With its counterpart in South Africa, the National Research Foundation, acting also in financing body for the selection of innovative and sustainable projects, they help in producing this necessary new knowledge. I wish you all a very successful forum, stimulating discussions, lots of ideas to foster our cooperation in this very strategic field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kokonye, for those remarks and for once again emphasizing the active role that the French Research Agency continues to play in the LEAP-RE partnership, as they serve also not just as a consortium member, but as the call secretariat for the Pillar 1 calls as well. So thank you very much for all of the inputs that you have made. So I'd like now to call the last speaker in this official opening session. Last but not least, the senior advisor from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland, MOFA, Ms. N. Vasara, who will connect online. Okay, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you and good morning. I am not sure, can you hear me now? Yes. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants. It is a great pleasure for me to address you in this opening session of the LEAP-RE Stakeholder Forum. Unfortunately, I couldn't be present with you in Pretoria today, but I am very pleased to be able to connect with you online on this occasion from Helsinki, Finland. The topic of the workshop is very timely as energy is at the top of the agenda all over the world, more than ever. We were already facing the consequences and urgent need to act due to climate crisis. Now the Russian war in Ukraine has also caused a crisis on the energy market. The rising prices and the need to find alternative energy sources accentuate the need to move away from fossil fuel dependency and into emission-free future on an accelerated schedule. On the other hand, the war in Europe also includes the risk of sidelining important and urgent climate action. I am proud to state that Finland has one of the most ambitious climate targets in the world. Our aim is to become a carbon neutral circular economy by 2035 and carbon negative soon after that. We will achieve our target by sharply reducing emissions and strengthening our carbon sinks. We need to curb our greenhouse gas emissions by 56% compared to current levels and grow our carbon sinks by roughly 20%. Majority of our greenhouse gas emissions come from energy sector due to cold climate, long distances and energy intensive industries. To achieve 2035 target, electricity and heat production in Finland must be nearly emission free by the end of 2030. Finnish power generation is already 85% emission free and the share is growing quickly with massive wind capacity production. As a country with cold winters, heating is our Achilles heel. Approximately half of district heat is produced with fossil fuels and peat. To combat this challenge, Finland has banned the energy use of coal by 2029 and is providing energy companies with incentives for investments to replace coal already by 2025. The use of oil in heating will be phased out by 2030 and already in 2 years' time in properties owned by the central and local government. As our targets are so ambitious, joint efforts between public and private sector were needed to articulate how we can achieve those targets. To this aim, sectoral low-carbon roadmaps for energy-intensive and other industries were developed, including chemical, technology, forest and energy industries. These roadmaps have large emission reduction potential. Steel production alone counts for over 77% of the total greenhouse gas emissions of Finland. The roadmaps provide insight on the emission reduction potential in each sector, inform climate and energy policies, and enhance the industry's commitment to climate action. The roadmaps are an excellent example of public and private cooperation and broad participation, paving the way for successful emission reduction. Other major targets are the reduction of the carbon footprint of construction, promoting a circular economy and a climate-friendly food policy. In taxation, the focus will shift to gather even more taxes from environmentally harmful activities. All these sectors have or will soon have sectoral roadmaps to guide the transition. Speaking of roadmaps, Finland has done pioneering work in circular economy. Finland invests a lot in transforming its economy from the linear make, use, dispose model to a circular economy. Circular economy solutions are needed to solve the climate crisis and to halt the biodiversity loss. Finland was the first country in the world to develop a national roadmap to transition to circular economy. This was a highly participatory cross-sectoral process involving several government ministries, cities, academia, private sector, and civil society representatives. We are now in cooperation with the African Development Bank and the Nordic Development Fund, starting to support African countries in the circular economy roadmap processes they would like to take forward. The leading annual circular economy event globally, the World Circular Economy Forum, is convened by the Finnish Innovation Fund Sitra. After starting in Finland, it has now been co-organized with Sitra by Japan, the Netherlands, and Canada. I'm now really excited to announce that this year it will be organized for the first time ever in Africa. The forum will take place from 6th to 8th of December in Kigali, Rwanda, as well as online. The event will put a spotlight on circular economy in Africa and link African stakeholders with the global circular economy community. I hope many of you can join the discussions in Kigali, online, or at one of the national studios to be organized. I have discussed our national climate policy, but I would also like to inform you that since 2019, Finland has action plans for climate smart foreign policy. At the Finnish Foreign Ministry, climate change has been mainstreamed in all policies, foreign security, trade and development policy. The main objective of the climate smart foreign policy is to promote global transition to low emission and in the long run to carbon neutral and climate resilient societies. Climate change has wide-ranging impacts. That is why actions to combat it must be incorporated into all aspects of public policy. The poorest countries of the world are the hardest hit by the consequences of climate change. Finland supports developing countries' climate action as part of development cooperation. We promote climate objectives beyond our borders through diplomacy as a member of the European Union and also in cooperation with the Nordic countries, within the United Nations and in other international bodies. Finland is the founder and co-chair of the Coalition of the Finance Ministers for Climate Action. It brings together fiscal and economic policymakers from more than 75 countries, including 17 from Africa. The alliance aims to accelerate climate action by mainstreaming climate change into fiscal and economic policy. The coalition plays an important role in promoting green recovery and carbon pricing. Finnish businesses have a lot to offer in fields such as sustainable solutions in the manufacturing industry, bioeconomy, and the electrification of societies. Current promising sectors include, for example, batteries from Finland, which means sustainable battery technology and reuse models. Finland's climate finance to developing countries is increasing by 93% compared to the previous government term and aims at balanced distribution of funding between mitigation and adaptation. In 2023, Finnish climate finance will reach 249 million euros, a record so far. Finland is a core member of the Champions Group on Adaptation Finance, an advocate group of 11 countries, European Commission and African Development Bank, to promote better quantity, quality, and access of adaptation finance. Finland hosted one of the main international events on adaptation finance in April this year. The Lahti Adaptation Finance Ministerial gathered all the leading adaptation finance actors and LDC SIDS representatives and paved the way for fulfilling pledges made in Glasgow and for a successful COP27. Finland continues to use loan and investment-based financing in addition to grant funding. Altogether, over 500 million euros will be invested during 2020-23. At least 75% of these funds will be channeled into climate change-related investments in developing countries. Advancing renewable energy is a priority throughout our international cooperation. The Finnish research organizations are keen to share experiences, knowledge, and expertise, and to develop international partnerships in renewable energy research and development. The strong Finnish partnership in the LEAP-RE is a demonstration of this. The Finnish companies are global market leaders in renewable energy technologies, such as batteries, wind turbine components, solar inverters, and bio and waste-to-energy systems, and are pioneers in system integration and smart networks. Since 2010, Finland has supported African energy entrepreneurs through a private sector grant funding instrument called Energy and Environment Partnership. It comprises 15 countries in Southern and East Africa and has already financed about 300 projects. It is a challenge fund with regular calls for proposals, and in the current phase, it is implemented through the Nordic Development Fund, and also Austria and Switzerland are contributing. The EEP program has a focus on energy access. gender equality, and food energy waste nexus solutions are particularly important, and there are synergy projects like solar irrigation and cold chain solutions. A few industrial projects have also been supported, like the feasibility study of the first industrial-scale biogas plant in South Africa to use cattle ranch waste to provide process steam to an automobile factory nearby, or an innovative vanadium redox flow battery to provide secure power supply for a hotel. The Finnish development finance institution FinFund has renewable energy as one of its priority sectors. FinFund provides investment financing in the form of long-term investment loans, equity, and mezzanine financing. They have funded, among others, solar power projects in Egypt and wind power in Kenya. The Finland IFC Blended Finance Fund was initiated in 2017 and includes 140 million euros to be invested as first loss components to leverage more financing into climate projects in developing countries. Most projects comprise renewable energy generation with the de-risking contribution to crowd-in private sector funding. For example, 2 solar farms of 44 and 35 megawatts in Senegal are producing very cheap electricity, since last year at about 4 cents per kilowatt hour to the grid, where power cost is roughly tenfold. Within the European Union, we have in the past couple of years made significant advances in strengthening our synergies and coordination for a strong impact and overall coherence in our international partnerships. Finland participates actively in the Team Europe approach and the initiatives that are put in place at country, regional, and global levels. Innovations and the green and digital transition are high on the agenda. We believe this approach will further strengthen the partnerships between Europe and Africa, including in advancing renewable energy. I would like to close by coming back to the LEAP-RE partnership. We see this as a significant contribution to the STI partnership between the European Union and the African Union. The selected projects will contribute to strengthening our innovation cooperation and in developing solutions for renewable energy, thus addressing climate change challenges and energy access issues. As a Finnish government representative, I am pleased to have a strong Finnish participation in LEAP-RE. 3 out of the 13 projects include Finnish organizations and funding. The projects include energy systems modeling, ecosystem development, developing recycling solutions for renewable energy components, and new applications of solar energy in water supply. Aalto University, Tampere University, and the Technical Research Center of Finland VTT are all excellent research and innovation organizations from Finland, and I would like to wish them and their partners, as well as all the LEAP-RE projects, success in their efforts to bring in new greatly needed renewable energy solutions and in taking the European Union, African Union Innovation Partnership forward. With that, I would like to wish you all a great workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Vasara, and for the invitation to the World Circular Economy Forum in Kigali in December, and for all the efforts in supporting circular economy and renewable energy. Before we move to the next set of the program, I'd just like to remind the next speakers that we have a very strict timekeeper in front here, Kibibi. She had 5 minutes ago already told me that time is up, but I didn't want to interrupt Ms. Vasara because I thought she had very important inputs to share. So going forward, we will keep to very strict timelines, but I'm sure the upcoming speakers know her very well. You know how strict she is. So we will then call on stage Dr. Mokhtar Salami, the LEAP-RE General Assembly Chairperson from the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Algeria, and Isabella Nardini, the LEAP-RE Vice Chairperson of the General Assembly from the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, to just present to us the general introductions and expected outcomes. But before they come on stage, I'd just like to get an indication if our dancers are here. If they are here, I suggest that they perform just before lunch so that we save up on time. But with that, let us give a warm welcome to Mokhtar and Isabella, please.
Thank you, Mampe. Dear colleagues, good morning. Dear representative of the European Union and the African Union, dear LEAP-RE partners, ladies and gentlemen. My first task is to appreciate the warm welcome and hospitality accorded to us by our host, the DSI. My second task is, and on behalf of the LEAP-RE General Assembly, to welcome you all to this workshop, which main expectations are among others. First, to build the skills inspired by the 6E: empowerment, expertise, engagement, entrepreneurship, employment, and empathy for the foundation of relationships built on trust and good understanding. My second point is to focus on outcomes and not on outputs. Outputs are the what, the action and activities you do, where outcomes, where are the why, the reason we do those activities. Our objectives are to promote digital and green technologies to enrich people's livelihoods. Energy must not only be green, but also supplied in a stable manner, generating local businesses and jobs with the objectives to participate to the technological innovation in Africa, and why not, to reverse innovation. Third, to think emerging technologies. Many processes are under development in the field of solar photovoltaics, wind power, ocean and tidal energy, hydropower, and so on. And we have many interest projects on development of smart process to support the sustainable development of energy, water, and agriculture sector using IoT, drones, and so on. Today, the fourth industrial revolution, the deep learning and the artificial intelligence instruments and tools are giving excellent results in monitoring, forecasting, and optimizing resources. We encourage researchers to have in mind these technologies at the forefront of scientific progress. The fourth point is on clustering and network. We came to Pretoria with objectives to build clusters and networks to foster technology development and deployment, knowledge sharing, and open collaboration among members in the different pillars. in many topics like on smart standalone systems, smart grids, solution for management of renewable energy components, cooking, and so on. A telling mention, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So we aim to mobilize the sharing strength of existing academic synergies, as well as local communities and industry partners to build collaboration among the multi-annual roadmaps developed in LEAP-RE. In our workshop program, we devote session to clustering in work package 4 and to merging interdisciplinary skills in a planned session entitled twinning, teaming, and matching in task 4.5.3 of the program. You are more than welcome to animate and not only to participate. The LEAP-RE collaborative platform, which will be introduced by Leonard this afternoon later, will facilitate communication, knowledge sharing, data, and other forms of transactions. My fifth point is on impact. For many of us as academics, we take pride in exhibiting our scientific publications, and even for the lucky ones in filing patents. It doesn't help to reduce an electrified population or maximize green energy utilization. So it's crucial to be in line with the new K impact pathway indicators. Results of future Horizon Europe should be evaluated not only on scientific impact, but on societal impact and economic impact, with involvement of new actors in the evaluation process, both NGOs and the citizens. This new vision and excellent work is published in the EU portal. It's entitled Monitoring the Impact of EU Framework Programs. Researchers are invited to consider these new standards and make them the objective to achieve by the end of their projects. Last point, but not least, is about data. To allow better tracking of progress toward the program objectives over time, it's essential to produce sufficient data. This is a fundamental issue both for upfront collection of raw data and when users gather data for analytics application. A three-dimensional plan for monitoring and evaluation has been developed in the context of LEAP-RE to knowledge management and communication framework. First, in monitoring, which focuses on collecting qualitative and quantitative indicators. Second, periodic evaluation according to established parameters. And three, maximizing the learning curve of LEAP-RE in order to progressively enhance efficacy and efficiency. These 6 highlighted points in the introduction are essential to consider. They are in line with the LEAP-RE program and will energize the partnership between African and European actors in a quadruple helix. Governments, with the owners of the program and funding agencies, research and universities, private sector and civil society. I can add in the respect of the environment, that's the 5th element, as mentioned by my colleague Seke with us in New York during the presentation of the African European Union strategy in innovation. Dear colleagues, Julius Nyerere, previous president of Tanzania, suggests in the 19th, we have to run while others walk. And almost everything we do requires time and energy in Africa. Today, Africa is definitely engaged in the Agenda 2063 Africa We Want, which encapsulates the development and transformation of the continent in human capacities, infrastructures, employment, well-being, and governance. Targets and goals of both Agenda SDGs and Africa We Want, no poverty, zero hunger, one health, quality education, clean water, and clean energy, are interconnected with SDG Goal 7, which aim to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. The renewable energy strategy is classified by the African Union as a critical area for ensuring the sustainable development of the continent. In energy, the Agenda 2063 targeted for an increase of 50% in electricity generation, 50% distribution, and 70% of Africans having access to electricity by 2023. The evaluation of the first 10 implementation plan, 2014-2023, indicates in 2022 that access to electricity in sub-Saharan countries started to rise but remain weak. Most people face severe energy poverty with an average of 25% of electricity access, while this rate is 98% for North Africa. The continental energy generated coming from renewable sources is only 9%, with a strong reliance, 6.8% on hydropower. That's information up from World Forum Economics. The explanation provided by experts is that, I quote, progress in some of the goals remains slow because of challenges faced during implementation, which include impacts of climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic, and unprecedented civil unrest. Many of the European and African countries have their national strategies to further develop infrastructure and achieve drastic growth in the coming years. The roadmap of research and innovation partnership on climate change and sustainable energy, which was adopted in 2017 by heads of state during the African Union European Union Summit in Côte d'Ivoire, defined 3 phases. The first phase was establishment of enabling environments, identification of priority and the gaps for technology innovation, human capital development, and research benchmarking. The second phase, and we are in, is conducting joint research in priority areas identified in the first phase in order to properly develop and integrate renewable energy in the energy system, supplying electricity, heat, cooling, and fuel, including transport, while minimizing the increase of greenhouse gas emission. Third phase is commercialization and utilization of research results. A big deal we have to prepare attentively since now, given that our weaknesses in Africa have been the failure to convert research to commercial products and to create spin-off companies. We are anticipating this phase by connecting LEAP-RE stakeholders to the promising African Union, European Union innovation strategy, which a short presentation will be made this afternoon. Let's say, in conclusion, that in less than 2 years, LEAP-RE finalized its internal architecture with the election of the president and vice president of the General Assembly, but also the installation of the EIB and the SAB, the Scientific and Ethic Advisory Board, which are a force of proposal to direct the PNB in the way forward. We still have a task to discuss in the General Assembly. It relates to the rules of conduct, the last brick of our organization. Finally, I hope that our workshop is not only an excellent gathering, exchange, and possible partnership, but that will make fundamental mark in the agenda of the global climate change and sustainable energy. I finally conclude by stating that I greatly appreciate your presence, and once more, welcome to all to our open session. I thank you earnestly for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salami. Dr. Salami's role in the initiative has been monumental. Algeria serves as the LEAP-RE coordinator and has helped set up quite a number of structures to get LEAP-RE to where it is today. So the 30 or so projects that have received funding today should really thank his commitment to this work. It is what has brought us this far today. So thank you very much, and another round of applause to him, please. All right, so to hear about progress so far and the next step, I'd like to call on stage Leonard Livec, the LEAP-RE coordinator from France. So we have two coordinators, one in Europe and one in Africa. So Morta is the African coordinator, and Leonard is the European coordinator from France. Over to you. Welcome him, please.
Good morning, colleagues. So I am Leonard Lévesque from France, working at LGI, which is the organization leading with the DSI, the LEAP-RE consortium. So to start, in a nutshell, I wanted to present the program. Oh, Tato, can you move to the next slide, please? So today and tomorrow morning, we will have public sessions that will focus on the presentation of the Climate Change and Sustainable Energy Partnership by Philippe Schild from the DGRTD European Commission, and the European Union, African Union Innovation Agenda, also by Luco Visecche and Vincenzo Russo from the European Commission. We will also have the chance to host and welcome the advisory board members that are joining the LEAP-RE program and that will support us in implementing the activities. Today afternoon, we will organize the Pillar 1 projects kickoff meeting. So basically, you may know that funding agencies are working within a Pillar 1, and we have been selected 13 projects that are going to present their progress so far and the work they are going to do for the next years. And tomorrow morning, we will focus on the Pillar 2 projects. So these are the 8 projects that are operative since the early 21. And some of them will finish by next year or by the end of LEAP-RE by 2025. We will also have the chance to organize a renewable energy school, which is a blended renewable energy school dedicated mainly for PhD students or early career researchers. It will focus on data collection, energy modeling, capacity building. So this will be moderated by mainly the Pillar 2 projects. And tomorrow, we will move to restricted sessions where Pillar 1 and Pillar 2 projects and partner will have the possibility to meet, to know each other, and to discuss about the commonalities, maybe the geographical coverage they are addressing, maybe the topics, the multi-annual roadmaps they are working on. So definitely this activity of clustering shall create bridges among the Pillar 1 community and the Pillar 2 community. You can move to the next slide. So LEAP-RE is a collaborative platform. So far, in the square in the center, these are the services that we are able to deliver. So namely, LEAP-RE is composed of 84 active organizations, consortium members. So I would be pleased to know in this room, who is a LEAP-RE consortium member? Please raise the hand. Okay. Great, that's quite a lot. Thank you. We also have the possibility to organize an international secretariat. Basically, this is the coordination team. So myself at LGI. In South Africa, it's the DSI represented by Siegfried. I don't know if he's still there, but Siegfried Tivana, Tato, who is there as well. And from LGI side, you have Karin and Mathilde, who are here and supporting the overall implementation of the program. So if you have any question about the program, any issue to solve, please come to us and we will be there for you. We also have the capacity so far to organize international events. So with the COVID situation, it has been hard. This is the second international event we are organizing under LEAP-RE. And hopefully we will have the possibility in the next years to organize another workshop or also ensure the participation of your projects or your initiatives in other international events as the COP27 or events that we should together identify. We also are in capacity to manage scientific clusters. So this is precisely what I commented before. Between today and tomorrow, we will work on these commonalities that are created among Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. And with the support of the scientific team mainly involved in Pillar 2, we will manage these scientific clusters in a first stage at the level of the consortium. So that's what we call the internal clustering process. So you may find this in the program. This is the internal part. It's restricted, let's say, to the consortium members. But as a collaborative platform, we would like also to expand this process to additional initiatives, to other programs, to other EU-funded programs, for instance, other projects, other initiatives that are implemented on the African continent and on the European continent. So far, we are also able to launch call for projects. So you have understood that Mokhtar presented the fact that Pillar 1 is a consortium of funding agencies who are in capacity to launch call for projects. So one call for projects has been launched in 2021 and allowed us to select certain projects that will be presented later in the afternoon. And we are now in the process of finalizing the second call for projects. So I don't give any figure. I will let François from ANR leading Pillar 1 giving the last figures of the call. But we have this strong capacity of launching our own call for tenders. And it is a great capacity. We have also, we are able to support project management. So we have a coordination team, the secretariat basically, which is here to support you in managing an EU-funded project, but also other projects. So this is a capacity that LEAP-RE is at this stage able to offer. We can also provide communication capacities. We have a website, we have digital resources. So this has to be improved, but this is a high-level objective that we have at the coordination level. We are here also to echo your needs in terms of communication. If you want to publish a paper, if you want to access open access publications, if you want to reach target audience that you are not able to reach, please use the LEAP-RE platform, contact the secretariat, and we will try to assist. And finally, I would like to invite you to connect at the link which is at the bottom of the slide, which is a digital app that we recently have been launching. So it's very easy. It's www.leap-re.app. So I strongly encourage each of you. I see that you are connected. So please open the page, create your account, put a photo, activate your account, and do not hesitate to publish a post. Actually, we are here to create an international community between AU and EU. For that, we need infrastructure. So one of our answers is this digital tool. So please have a look to it. It's a kind of social network style, and this may support the identification of the stakeholders that are here in the room today, but also online. This is there is no restriction to access this platform. So you can just freely open the page, create an account, and start publishing, I don't know, project IDs if you want to apply for core, an event in which you would like to invite us, a publication that your entity recently published. So everything is possible through this app, but it will work only if you activate and play an active role in this. So just one word about the two aspects here. One of the ultimate objectives of LEAP-RE is to reconnect research and policymaking process. So, so far, the LEAP-RE Secretariat and the services we are able to deliver are the first answer for that. But in the future, by the end of the project, by 2025, we need to have a continuous linkages with both the policymakers and the research community. Policymaking, we need to feed the policymaking process by identifying knowledge gaps, but also by feeding the public policies by the results of the project we are implementing within LEAP-RE. We have to support the African Union and the European Union Commissions in their strategies and agendas. We will see with Philippe and Vincenzo and Lucovi after that there are high-level strategies and agendas, and that LEAP-RE is able to deliver services to give some answers to reach these strategies. We also have to work in close collaboration with African Union and European Union member states. So it's great to have here the representation of the national level in South Africa, but also the European Union delegation, because we have to be in close collaboration with the member states. We also have to identify with member states who are the countries for which sustainable energy is a priority, so that LEAP-RE can really intervene and provide content and knowledge. On the other hand, for the research community, we have to create, animate, and expand an international community of practitioners. So far, we have these 84 organizations, but actually there is no limit. The ambition of LEAP-RE is to be the platform, the collaborative platform between African continent and the European continent, and to create bridges among researchers and scientific communities. So we have to match-make people, but also projects with public policies. We have to have this continuous discourse and this continuous meeting between the research capacities, the projects we are implementing on the field, the prototypes, the demonstrators that some of you are implementing on the ground with the policymakers. We also have to foster open access publications. I think it is quite challenging when it comes to research and innovation, especially towards the African continent. And we have to stimulate also the elaboration of new projects addressing high technology readiness levels, focusing on prototypes and demonstrators, or even patents. We should also foster the organization of patents. So you can move to the last slide. So this forum, before. Yeah, thank you. So this forum is designed to reach the objectives I just mentioned, in particular around community building activities and capacity building activities. So these are today objectives. You understood that LEAP-RE is an international platform. We will have until 2025 to reach these very high level ambitions, because it is very complex what we are going to address. It is an incremental process. So for the week that we are going to spend together, here are the main objectives that we have to reach together. So far we are still in the first implementing phase. As I said, there is still a lot to do to create this LEAP-RE platform, but the project lasts until 2025. And last word, this is a win-win process. We need to know your needs, the researchers, the policymakers. We need to know what you need in order to adapt the services that I presented before and be able to make, animate and expand this vibrant community relying on updated and useful tools. So your active collaboration is expected. Thank you for being here, and you can count on us if you have any specific need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leonard, for that presentation, but most importantly also for indicating that even though we have 84 members in the consortium, there is still room for more. So those that are interested as funding agencies, most importantly, please get in touch with Leonard, Siegfried, and the others so that you can see how you can join. So next, then we have two presentations. One on the CCSE, so the Climate Change Sustainable Energy Roadmap by Philip Child, Project Officer from the DG/RTD European Commission. And then immediately after that, we'll also hear on the innovation agenda. But first, let's hear from Philip Child on the roadmap. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, please.
Good morning, all, and thank you for having the opportunity to describe you what sort of we have been doing at higher level. So as was introduced, I'm Philip Child, working at DG/RTD. I'm the co-leader of the Climate Change and Sustainable Energy partnerships with sort of my colleague from the AUC. So please, next slide. So just to give you a bit of a background, as was presented this morning, you know, what we're doing always takes a long time. So everything started in 2000 in the first of EU-Africa summit, where there they decided that we should work on science, technology, and innovation. And all the process ended up with the initiating of different partnerships. Next slide. So now, under this big framework of AU-EU partnerships on science and technology, we have 4 running partnerships. The first one got created was on food, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. The next one was the one I'm following to describe, which is on climate change and sustainable energy. And the third one was on the innovation agenda, which my colleagues will continue to describe. There was another activity on medical research, which was dedicated, which is under this partnership, but got initiated a bit outside the partnerships. Yeah. Next slide, please. So on the roadmap, so to define the partnership, a roadmap was decided because we are dealing with 2 sides, the climate change and sustainable energy. Both sides have their own sort of roadmap to follow. I'm only going to describe briefly the one we have on sustainable energy. So it's focused on renewable energy and energy efficiency. And the overarching objective on renewable energy is really to replace fossil-based energy supply by a renewable energy source to mitigate as a mitigation measure to climate change, and also a sustainable solution for an increased energy access in Africa. And it covers all the renewable energy: wind, solar, hydro, sustainable biomass, including biowaste, geothermal, wave, tidal. As a scope for technology development is to look at improving energy efficiency, improving and reducing costs of renewable technologies, cost of components, improving installation, operation, and maintenance procedures, to develop cheaper dispatchable solution based on renewable solution, which means hybridization of renewable energy solution, but also improving electrical networks, inter-regional connectivity for our energy access, to connect islands, energy islands. Next slide. As more sort of details, we are looking at sort of development and integration of renewable energy in the energy systems, to look at planning and modeling of future sustainable energy systems, to include and participation of society as an important actor in the development of renewable energy system. And also looking at sort of market pricing business model that we can sort of help contribute to improve. And obviously, we are not forgetting that we are also dealing with science. So we also to improve the strengthening of the basic research and technology development. And that means that in terms of activity, we are looking at activity going from low TRL to high TRL. So it's really an integrated roadmap on research and innovation. Next slide, please. In terms of energy efficiency, there the focus of the activities is much more on the identification of national baseline and characterization of the national energy consumption. It's promotion of energy saving in buildings, households, industry. It's a development of an energy efficient energy generation system, transmission, distribution, and storage. It's also promotion of technology diversity and use of an energy mix. It's also a promotion of interdisciplinary approach to cover the societal impact of energy efficiency, education, and acceptance of the technologies, and development of communication and information tool on energy efficient products. Next slides. So these are the technical aspects, but we are not forgetting the non-technical aspects, which are capacity building in terms of human capital, infrastructure, institutional capacity building, looking at how we can improve the financial capacity. And in fact, in those sort of, on that last part, this is where we are also overlapping activities with the other partnership on innovation. And as sort of Leonard mentioned, we are looking at open data, open access is to availability of data, the access of the data, to be able to reuse data, to redistribute, and to have also a universal participation. We don't want to be a short sort of club. It's an open network. Next slides. So what I would like now to go with you is what we have been doing so far from sort of the EU part and in collaboration with sort of, the EU. So we have launched under our previous Horizon Europe, Horizon program, Horizon 2020, a set of topics. We had one on energy efficiency solution. It started also at the end of 2021, beginning of 2021, sorry. The project LEAP-RE is issue of the activity. We had the topic, it was launched in 2020. In fact, we had a preparatory phase, which was called pre-LEAP-RE. It ended up in October 19. And in fact, that's projects which define the roadmap that LEAP-RE is implementing. We had, at the end of 2020, European Green Deal, where we explicitly put forward a demonstration topic on renewable energy. And there we selected 5 projects: CESA, Sofia, Energica, Steam Bio Africa, and Reflect Africa. You will hear about those projects later this week. And some of the people are either online or even in the room. All those projects started about a year ago. What we have done in that partnership was asking for experts from the country participating in the EU LHPD bureaus. So we have created an expert working group which cover both climate change and energy, and has experts coming from half are European and half are African. And there we organized in 2020 several workshops to identify what we could do together. This is an aspect that we like to move forward, is what kind of activity could combine both the climate change aspect and mitigation and the renewable energy. One of the major roles is to monitor and also advise implementation of the climate change and sustainable energy working group. As you have seen just by Leona's presentation, we will have a session where it will be also our first physical meeting, because you saw that we got created in the middle of the pandemic, so we never saw each other apart from virtual meetings. So we will see each other and try to work together and try, in fact, to use the community that is here, have a feedback on what you would expect us also as a group at a higher level to initiate some kind of activities also. What we're doing today, and this is part of the dissemination that I'm expecting, and I'm pushing, in fact, LEAP-RE to do also, is we have our new framework program on research started in the beginning of 2021. So we have launched our first work program, which covered 2021 and 2022. We had 2 dedicated topics on Africa. One was on the water, energy, food nexus modeling. The deadline was in February, and we have 2 projects that are underground preparation, and we expect the project to start by the end of this year or beginning of next year. We have still this month a deadline on a topic dedicated on energy system modeling. Those 2 topics on modeling was to create an expertise in Africa for solving and having models that are tailored and refined for African situation and models. What we have done also in the work program of 2022 under the joint undertaking clean hydrogen, this legal beast, if I can call it that way, is focused only on working on production of clean hydrogen and deployment of hydrogen at European level. There is also an international cooperation aspect, and in this year work program, we included a topic on research and innovation cooperation with Africa on hydrogen. It's, in our terminology, we call a CSA, which stands for Coordination and Support Actions. And there is 1 project on the ground preparation. So, I can already turn to the people here in LEAP-RE. All those new projects will join your community and will need to, work together. What is coming at the EU level is the new work program covering the year of 2023-2024. It will be published by the end of November 2022, and we have our first session, information session by 15-16 of December. As soon as I have more details for connection and attending, I will forward that to LEAP-RE to distribute. I'm discussing with my colleagues dealing more with Africa in terms of cooperation, that having also a dedicated African sort of session. Because in that work program, we are planning to have also dedicated topics on Africa. Next slide, please. What I like to show is, we are not really working on isolation, and there is a lot of interest on both sides of the Mediterranean to work together. And this example, it's the example of what we got as submission from our Green Deal topic for demonstration in Africa. We get 146 applications. And I just sort of told you, we only got selected 5 projects, so the competition was fierce. But most importantly, we had almost 1,000 African organizations and almost the same number from the European side wanted to work together. this is not a negligible number. This is very important. And when you look at the two maps, where from the darker side to the lighter is the number where the partners were coming from, where you could say that in Europe, it's a standard culprit, you know, that's where we have a strong collaboration. But in Africa, it's quite well spread. Of all the countries were quite interested to participate. So I think this is something that's to keep in mind. And so that's why, as sort of Leona was mentioning, we are asking LEAP-RE to be broader than the 85 partners that they have. So it's a heavier task on their shoulder. Next slide. Okay, you got my last presentation. What I wanted also to say, it's what I described to you in the roadmap is almost the traditional research we do in renewable energy. But you can go beyond the traditional ways. And this is a project that I found in almost by chance. It's not funded under the energy program. It is funded under what we call the industrial program on chemical processes. And this project is looking at the directly conversion of sunlight into sustainable chemical. So it's a use of renewable energy directly in industry. But what I would like to show you really is if you look at the part on the board on the catalyst design manufacturer characterization, there is Kiambogo University from Uganda. So you can participate in our projects. So it's not only sort of the energy projects, it's you have participation and you can. I think this is sort of something that sort of you, and not limiting in fact on topics that at EU level we are putting forward. You should really look at all our topic and maybe find the topic. What the network that LEAP-RE will create is giving you contact with partners and then possibly getting into a consortium. So that's why, in fact, I'm continuing what was discussed before, is a need to strengthen the collaboration on both sides. One way is to create and sustain networkings. So that's what LEAP-RE was doing. But for us is to create expertise. You are the experts, both in Africa and in Europe, working in Africa. So this expertise is very important for us to get feedback from your expertise and get access to your expertise. But also as a network, started to think, what do you want to do together? And have that feedback to us so we can sort of see, does it fit our global strategy, both at EU level and at AU level? But also as a group is also, but that is more message to LEAP-RE, is creating synergies and linking with other activities. My colleagues will describe what the innovation agenda is planning to do. They are organizing a workshop at the end of November on this aspect. So this is contribution where you could contribute in these workshops. But also synergy and linking is to link to other EU global programs, because our activity in Africa is not limited in research activities. There is a lot of deployment type of activities, especially in our colleague from the Direction General on International Partnerships, and I will present it later, but also linking to national and regional programs, because even at EU, at AU level, we cannot do everything. So it's really creating and pulling activity that is done at every level. And this is a slide I'm putting, you know, this is also why we need you experts. We are doing evaluation of proposal. We need your expertise to be able to evaluate proposal. And it's sort of both very rewarding, because first you get contact to other experts. So you're creating also networking, but also you are also discovering what sort of research activity at the top level is being done also. So it's quite beneficial. Next slide, please. So this is what I wanted to, I have just two slides on it, is to just show you what stuff was my colleague from the EU delegation mentioned on the global gateway way. We have a strong EU-Africa agenda for green energy in Africa. And this is sort of to build on the political momentum that exists for green energy in Africa. And also putting forward the big Africa-Europe investment package called the Africa-EU Green Energy Initiative, with a very terrible acronym, too long, it should be short. But there is a lot of money there available for deployment activities. And this is, next slide, please. And this sort of new agenda is really on 4 legs. One, which is sort of what they call hard components, which is really to build energy infrastructures. The second is more on the soft part, which is more looking at regulatory aspect on environment and technical and providing technical assistance and policy dialogues. The third one is on having just energy transition partnership, so that sort of the transition doesn't leave anybody behind. And also a focus on the renewable hydrogen deployment aspect. All those programs are what you need after completing your research activities, when you are ready to go to deployment and commercial applications. But you need to create the link, so when you are ready, they know that you are ready also, and they don't discover you having this kind of reduction. What is that? You should have the decision. Oh, now you're ready. Okay, come. This is the change you have to have. Just a standard sort of link that you have on all our communication. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Philip. I have noticed that a lot of the presentations have been to the audience, but we've not had a chance to hear from the audience. We've got a few minutes to spare, maybe 10 minutes for questions. If the support staff can check online, if there are any questions, and help direct those questions, or if there are questions from the floor. The presentations will also be shared, so you will get the detail that Philip spoke to also from the presentation. Questions, issues of clarity? Yes, sir. Please indicate. Can we have a second mic, please? All right. Let us use this one for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Doctor, I want to ask a quick question for that funding opportunity for energy system modeling you just mentioning in the slides. I'm wondering what's the project duration for that work?
Well, the topic doesn't mention any duration, so it's a duration that you have to complete your objective of your projects. So it could be, the standard duration is 3 years, but it could be shorter, it could be longer, depending on what you need to complete your work.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Lotfi Bagli, professor at University of Lorraine. Thank you for your warm welcome and for the presentation we had. So it's more a suggestion than question, because as a researcher, we want to apply for projects, but it's hard to find the right one and the right partners to which so if we have already people we know, we can start our project and we start building our the summary. So what I suggest is with the LEAP-RE platform from LGI that Leonard presented, if you can put on it all the European or African Union African projects that belongs to these thematics, and you can put on them, and also on the other part, put all the partners that are already involved in LEAP-RE. For example, our lab has expertise in electrical engineering in microgrids, and so we can know which one we can contact if we want to apply for any projects. So it can be a good opportunity for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that suggestion. So Leonard has taken note of that. But there's also an opportunity this week to engage with the researchers that are here. So please take advantage of that. They will present this afternoon and during the course of the week. Thank you so much. Next, sir, please, your name and institution.
Thank you very much. My name is Abdelwahid Zarfi. I am head of division in the Ministry of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Innovation of Morocco. My question concerns the search of partners in Morocco and in other countries, especially in the south. We have a lot of competency. We have a lot of idea, but unfortunately, we haven't a lot of network to participate in the project. So I don't know if you can, for example, create some database, an objective to set up sub network between the researchers from the north and the south. In the ministry, a lot of time we receive some requests to integrate the network to participate in the call for project, but we haven't a lot of contact in the north. An objective to make this network between the researchers in the south, between the south and the north. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I can say only this is what we are aiming to, that this kind of networks exist and that you can find the partners that you need. So.
Thank you very much. There's a question towards the back.
Thank you very much. So I am Rafik Amdi, coming from Belgium. So I am in this CCA group that Philip mentioned. So I have a maybe technical question to Mr. Leonard about the LEAP-RE. So it's it's important. What was the success rate of the LEAP-1? I mean, of the LEAP-RE project for the Pillar 1?
Leonard will respond. Yes.
I will let the Pillar 1 leader answering your question.
Thank you. François Moisan from ANR in France. So regarding the first call on Pillar 1 we launched last year, we received about 124 proposals. Some were ineligible, and we had 92 submissions, which were for a first step of selection. So we pre-select 36 projects to apply for a full submission, which is the complete description of the project. And finally, we selected the 13th project, which will be presented this afternoon. So you'll see there was a very successful rate of proposition, but regarding the budget available, we could select 13 projects to give you an idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Somila.
Thanks a lot, Chair, and good morning, everyone. Somila Kosa from DSI, and thanks for the presentation to all the presenters. Mine is just a point of clarity. One of your slides where you are talking about going beyond also the traditional ways. I was trying to get the actual message, whether we should look at other applications for renewable energies or its linkages to other networks. That's the first part. The second part, I think it's on the clean hydrogen. And really just wanted to understand the kind of opportunity that is still exists, because I could see that you mentioned one is at grant preparation stage. What other opportunities will come along? Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I think for the going beyond is in fact is both aspects, is to look at stuff new applications, so where you could use directly renewable energy to to feed into a process. It's really an integration. It's sort of the part of integrating renewable energy source directly into the system. So this is a way to look at it. And there, in fact, you are linking to your second sort of suggestion, which was going to other sectors than energy itself, where you could sort of provide energy to industry in a most of reliable way and more useful way. I think it's part of that. I think it's a both aspect. For the clean hydrogen, the joint undertaking on clean hydrogen, it's a public-private partnerships. It is true the focus is European, but it has an international aspect in a sense that it can have some activities internationally. And as you've seen in the two slides I presented, that even sort of internationally, green hydrogen is sort of being pushed forward all over the country, and in particular in Africa. I think it was sort of decided that we have to start linking with what is happening in Africa. So we know that our colleague from the Directorate General on International Partnership have a number of studies working to do that. So what we want, what the expectation of that project being on the ground preparation is to establish a sort an implementation roadmap of where would be the best opportunity to work together and how we could sort of work more together. So as I said, the project is expected to start by January next year. And as soon as sort of this project is starting, we will start linking to our to the LEAP-RE community and all the community so they can get feedback and we can move forward if there is anything we can initiate in an African context.
Thank you. We'll take one more question from the floor, but while you do that, there's a question from Lipik Hafida online. Is there a chance to see other LEAP fields of cooperation besides renewable energy in future?
You mean like a LEAP-RE project, but outside the...
outside renewable energy, in other areas, agriculture.
Okay. But one is already existing on agriculture. So it's, and at the moment, as partnerships are looking at going the next step. So this is still in discussion. The other partnership we have, and I'm not sure because it doesn't, I don't think the field fitted is on innovation because, but you don't know. But at the moment at the EU level dialogues, there is none other partnership as such. I just mentioned this sort of on medical science, which is not fully in the partnership as such because it got created almost in parallel. So.
All right, we'll take one last question from the floor.
Good morning, Júlio Carneiro from the University of Évora, Portugal. We work a lot on carbon capture and storage. And I seem to notice that in your plans for cooperation between Africa and Europe in terms of green energy and energy overall, you never mention carbon capture and storage. And I wonder if it is time for collaboration in that technologies to start in some of the African countries. Thank you.
Okay, I can only say that carbon capture and storage doesn't appear because it was not in the mandates for the collaboration, which was supposed to be focusing only on renewable energy and energy efficiency on the energy part. There is also other partnership existing globally in this top CCS type of activity. At the moment, there is no talk to have a specific focus for Africa. But as sort of my comment would be then that we have many topics.
There's a question from the virtual participants. Moses Mengu wants to know, the topic on energy modeling is supposed to work with other ongoing projects, for example, Horizon projects, but I cannot see this project anywhere. What is the title of this project and who is the coordinator? I think he's asking about what you presented, the CCSE projects.
Oh, well, the project on energy modeling, especially the water energy nexus, are under town preparation, and sadly we cannot divulge yet the names before it's the grant is signed. But as soon as sort of the grant is signed, then we can divulge and disseminate the information.
Thank you very much for that. Let's give him a round of applause, please. All right. Next, then, the last presentation before lunch is by Lukovi Seke, Program Officer at the NEPAD AU Development Agency, together with Vincenzo Luroso, Policy Officer, DG Research and Innovation, European Commission. Let's welcome them, please, with a round of applause.
Bonjour, good morning once again. So I'm with my colleague, Dr. Vincenzo, who will be intervening from Brussels, from the European Commission. I don't know if he's online. What is happening is based on previous discussion at the highest level where EU and EU ministers in charge of science, technology, and innovation discussed that it's important for both a union to come up with a proper agenda. And I don't know if Dr. Vincenzo is already online. Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, actually, literally everyone. And hello, yes, can you hear me? Okay, so a very good afternoon, everyone. And apologies for the inconvenience. We were trying to get things sorted. My name is Vincenzo Luroso. I come from DG Research and Innovation at the European Commission in Brussels. And I'm very pleased to be, although virtually, with you all today to present jointly with our dear colleague Lukovi Seke from ODA NEPAD, also on behalf of the African Union Commission, the joint endeavor that is called the AU African Union European Union Innovation Agenda, which is currently at the stage of a working document of a draft. So we'll start with part of the presentation, and then the rest of it will be taken over by colleague Seke, as he explained a few minutes ago. So the African Union European Union Innovation Agenda, the AU EU Innovation Agenda, is an ambitious, unprecedented initiative that in a nutshell really aims to translate research and innovation endeavors into tangible, positive impact on the ground, really aiming to translate research and innovation into products, businesses, services, and jobs in Africa as much as in Europe. It really stems from the very first ever African Union, European Union ministerial meeting of research and innovation ministers that gathered virtually at their time for the first time ever, indeed, in July 2020. And when they acknowledged the fact that both in Africa and Europe, innovation ecosystems had been growing at an unprecedented pace into the continents, but then more had to be done for innovation really to be translated into positive outcomes.
have these 4 objectives. So as you could see, we need to translate innovative capacity and achievement into tangible output, okay? The second one, we need to strengthen innovation ecosystem. The third one, we need to develop sustainable, long-lasting and mutual beneficial higher education and research and innovation partnership. So the last one, as you could see, we need to scale up instruments that can take forward existing successful program between the European Union and the African Union. So we are going to take you through some of the short, medium, and long-term action that we're thinking we have to take throughout this process. So the focus should be in public health, green transition, innovation and technology, capacity for science as well. So let us move to the next slide, please. You have this slide. As we were saying, the meeting of head of state and government, the 6th one between the European Union and the African Union, focus on the fact that it's important for us to have a joint AU-EU innovation agenda. We were saying that it's very important for us as African and European to work in a win-win partnership and to make sure that based on the ongoing public consultation, we got some negative feedback from some of the African stakeholders, not believing that there is a possibility to work in a very win-win situation with Europe. So the intention here is that this one is a win-win situation where we cannot blame any union while we be implementing. So next slide, please. I was saying during my opening remark on behalf of AU bodies that anything that could happen on the continent or with both union would never come up like a immaculate conception. So what should happen on both at the both level is that member states should clear anything we have to implement. So what you are seeing here as an entonnoir, so this is the AU-EU innovation agenda. So we have some framework that should support this agenda. So we have the global agenda, what we call the 2030 agenda, okay, with the 17 goals. We have the AU agenda, that's the long-term one, up to 2063. We have the framework that is leading all the science, technology, and innovation activities in Africa. We call it the Science, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Africa. So it's due in 2024, so we need to have another decade of STISA. And we also have what we call the agenda focusing mainly on education. So that one from the 2016 to 2025. So, and also we have other strategy as you see there. And also we have the EU comprehensive strategy with Africa and the EU global approach to research and innovation. So the reason why you can see at the African level, we are combining science, technology, and innovation and education, because when we go back to the definition of science, technology, based on the UNESCO manual, you'll see that we define scientific and technological activities based on tertiary education, research, okay, and development, and as well as scientific and technological services. So that's the reason why you could see at the African level, we have two frameworks that should guide us while we are intervening in this collaboration between the AU and the EU. Next slide, please. So here you will see the process we did follow in terms of coming up with something very tangible. And the intention was not to come up with the AU-EU innovation agenda for 5 years. It's very demanding and it's not always easy to allow all the stakeholders to be together. The intention is to make sure that we put something for 10 years. And for us to make it possible, we focus on previous and ongoing R&D and innovation activities, and also focusing on the lesson learned of existing AU and EU innovation partnership project, as well as opinion from AU-EU advisory group on research and innovation, and also without forgetting some of the discussion that took place during the first AU-EU ministerial meeting. And also now we need to also consider the mapping exercise on some partnership focusing mainly on food, nutrition security, and sustainable agriculture. So Dr. Vincenzo focused mainly on this aspect, the importance of food security when we met in New York, because the intention was also to sell the agenda that we have to implement very soon, because
we are now going through this process where we need to go through awareness. But at the end of the day, we are going to have a stakeholder meeting between EU and AU in Nairobi from the 23rd to the 24th of November. And the intention later on is to come up with a holistic document to be cleared by ministers next year and head of state and government. Next slide, please. So here is a number of stakeholders we have to involve in the process. Thank you. We only have 2 minutes remaining. Sorry for that. And next slide. So as I was saying, we have these clusters: public health, green transition, innovation and technology, and capacity for science. What you can see there, those are not budget that we are expecting to reach in terms of implementing. So what we have here in terms of budget is existing EU funding, but we also know at the African level, we also have our institutions that are managing budgets on R&D, especially. Some of them are granting councils, others are only land ministry, let's say research institutions that are managing budgets from the government, adopted in the parliament for us to really invest in terms of R&D. Next slide, please. So there we have the need and gap analysis has been identified in terms of 5 areas. So we have the innovation ecosystem, innovation management, knowledge exchange, access to finance, and so forth. Next slide, please. So we say that we have the short term, the midterm, and the long term one. I will be very quick because of time constraints. So let me take the cross-cutting one. The cross-cutting, we are believing that under number 4, we have to foster the participation of financing partner. So we saw the IMF coming, and when we were in New York, willing to support the process. And when we go to public health, so we are seeing they're using the emerging technology, especially with artificial intelligence. We have to move to the process of precision medicine, like we can use a huge database, and when we have to handle issue related to cervical cancer, so there is no really harm to use artificial intelligence to address a problem of a patient can have in terms of cervical cancer based on the stock information we are having. So when it comes to, let's say, capacity for science, we need to strengthen R&D cooperation between AU and EU stakeholder, especially tertiary institution and government. Next slide, please. I'm going to move straight to the medium term. When we go to the medium term, let me take the public health aspect. We need tech transfer and affordable, available, accessible, and quality vaccine, medicine, and health technology and production. So when we had COVID-19, the entire globe has been put down. So we cannot afford keeping knowledge on ourselves. So it's important for us to collaborate between both unions and to leverage on our capability that we might have in Europe and in Africa for us to move toward a common agenda. Let us move to the next one. Apology for really rushing. The long-term one, so let us move again to innovation and technology. So we need inclusive, affordable access to the world-class research and innovation infrastructure. It's very important because as we speak now, we have what we call the square kilometer array, because that infrastructure is something that the South African government was trying to support to keep in Africa. But what we believe is that being a global agenda, the South African government consider it as a Pan-African agenda. So also in having those square kilometer array, all those ditches, we believe we can also support other continents, and that should be vice versa. So I'm going to hand here, but let me check if the next slide can have something very important without really trying to, the next one again. Okay, this is the process we are following. So we are going to meet in Nairobi. Those of you that might not be able to join us, you can join online. And the intention is to finalize the process by the end of this year. And then by mid-2023, minister can clear the process and later on, head of state can support it. Next slide, because next one. Okay, so the data there, and next one again. So this is the meeting we had. We have the commissioner in Brussels and the director Rousseau, and there we have the acting director Ambani. He sent again a message while we were having the meeting after my remark that he's so sorry he was having another meeting. We have the director at AUD NEPAD, and next one, the CEO of AUD NEPAD, the current one, and Dr. Vincenzo and myself when we were presenting the AU Innovation Agenda. So really, Madam, thank you for keeping the time. Apology for betraying the audience because it was not our fault. So I think let us go to the next slide to say thank you to the audience. So if you need to find something with regard to what is going on, we put it in terms of a knowledge product. So you can go through that link by the time you get this slide to get it. Okay, there is a thank you at the end. Okay, thank you very much. So what we can do now, Dr. Vitonto is online and we can be responding to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seke, for that presentation. So the next meeting will be in Nairobi in November. It will also be an online meeting for those that still want to make input into the innovation agenda. So we are due to break for lunch. It is now 12:23 according to my time. We'll have an item before we break for lunch, but can I please ask that we be back at 13:20? 13:20? Okay, one question.
Thank you very much. Just to inform you that topics of innovation and technology transfer, as discussed recently in framework of Commission STS between the country of African Union. I want to have please more information about this project, innovation technology, about the project, who will coordinate this project. I know that this project will be launched by the European Union, the framework of the Eurozone Europe. If please we can have more information about who will coordinate this project, and also if all countries in African Union will be involved or just small countries. Thank you.
Yeah, as far as I know, the African Union Commission is coordinating the project on Africa's behalf, but all African Union member states can contribute in shaping the current concept, the innovation agenda. I saw your email as well, Somila. So South Africa was indeed consulted. We've sent our inputs, but as Seke has indicated, there will be another round for inputs at the Nairobi meeting in November. It's an in-person meeting and an online meeting, so it's a hybrid meeting, and we can still make inputs on in the concept. Ne? So can you just give, okay, Kuda? I know Kibibi is worried about time. Not to worry, we'll catch up. We are on time.
Thank you. Kudan Lukula from the SADC Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. I'm just looking at the innovation agenda. I know there's insinuation, but I'm not seeing it being explicit. I think the issue of linking innovation with industrialization, I think that should be very clear, because as long as we are not industrializing as Africa, I think whatever we are doing, it will still be at the same place again 10, 20 years down the line. I think we need to see a very clear link between innovation and contribution to industrialization agenda that we have as Africa. Thank you.
The link between innovation and industrialization. In SADC, we have a SADC industrialization strategy, and I think a consultation at the SADC level to bring the two together, either before or after the Nairobi meeting, might be necessary, so that we can link up those two, at least at REC level, before we go to the African Union. Thanks, Kuda, noted. All right, before we break for, yeah, I'm gonna take one last question from the back.
if I look at the 4 priority areas as agenda that were just discussed, you find that, it's a good agenda, but there's another agenda which is very critical, which the African Union, together with AU, they need to focus on, is on the agriculture, which is being given less priority. And you'll find that the sub-Saharan Africa, the biggest problem that we have now is feeding its own people. And looking at it, if it's not focused as part of the priority, then that should be focused during the research and innovation. That is like creating a doom for ourselves.
We have a whole program called LEAP-RE, focusing on agriculture. And I think at tea time, at break, you can get in touch with me or any of the colleagues that are here from the LEAP-RE partnership. So maybe you can raise your hand if you know, then we can give you information, but there's a whole project that focuses on agriculture. So the issues that you're raising are covered in that project, but we'll share that info with you. Vincenzo wanted to intervene, and then the dancers can come in there.
Thank you very much, Pompey. Can you please confirm you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to apologize, as Seka said, for the inconvenience of the technicalities. And I'd like to thank also very much all the colleagues who raised their questions. And I'd like to try and address very quickly and complement what you said on the industrialization one. Thank you very much for your comments on the importance of linking innovation with industrialization. In Africa, particularly, but also elsewhere, we are acutely aware of this important aspect. And in fact, as Seke was saying last week, 10 days ago in New York, we started a dialogue involving also UNIDO, so United Nations Industrial Development Organizations, because indeed we are aware of the importance of acting synergistically there and making sure that the technology sharing and transfer to some extent goes in a sustainable way in which capacity is created indeed also from an industrial point of view. And on the point of food security and the importance, if I quote correctly, for Sub-Saharan Africa to feed itself, as Seke was saying, the partnership on food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture is of utmost importance for this AU innovation agenda. And indeed, this is where we have mapped the projects from a business and innovation point of view. And we are now currently discussing and exploring opportunities to invest in the projects that are the closest to reach end users and to turn research and innovation into tangible products, services, also and importantly from a value chain and transformation point of view. So thank you for bringing those points up. We are really working on them, and please do come to Nairobi to further this discussion and also to make sure the actions that are foreseen in the agenda fully captures these intentions. Thank you.